International Day of Remembrance of Slave Victims and the Transatlantic Slave Trade. This is the Cape Coast Castle, and it is one of the most visited tourist sites in the whole of West Africa. On a typical day, you'll find people who travel far and near to get to know their history, going back to their roots, what exactly slavery has got to do in our lives. And so let's take a walk into the Cape Coast Castle and figure out how significant the day is today. It will interest you to know that the number of tourists that visit the Cape Coast Castle are many diasporans who travel from far to the city of First to experience, and it's always a different mood, an emotional scene all the time when you see them inside the Cape Coast Castle. Well, I just met some good friends here, here to know their history. May I know which country you're from?
I'm from the UK.
From the UK? Where specifically?
London.
London. And you?
I'm from the UK.
Oh, also from London. My name is Egyirba. What's yours?
Shaman.
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 Shaman. Okay. And you are?
Lisa.
Lisa. Lisa. Well, we are blacks, so obviously we have something in common. I mean, no discrimination, and we are women. Among them, we celebrated ourselves, right? So let's talk about your reason for coming here. What have you learned about the Cape Coast Castle, and why did you travel down to the city of First to, be here physically and have that emotional moment for yourself?
In 2022, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I've got through it, and I'm well now. But what it meant to me was that I don't have time. I don't know what's around the corner, and it's really important to me to try and know where I come from. My family, we're actually cousins. My mum's from St. Lucia, my dad's from Grenada, but that's not really where I'm from. And so coming to Ghana and coming here, as far as I'm concerned, it's the opening, it's the start of a journey, and it's maybe where I'm from.
Wow.
That's what's really important for me to get here.
How about you?
Very similar. I just wanted to know the truth. They don't teach a lot of black history in London. They talk about slavery, but they don't talk about what they did, just that you were slaves. And they don't really talk about our accomplishments, our achievements, and what we had before they were actually here in our islands and our countries taken over. And it's important to me to know the truth and to be able to tell my children about it, because nobody else is.
This is the Central Regional Director for the Museums and Monuments Board, Mr. Atuishen is his name. Mr. Atuishen, we visited you today. Such a significant day. And you are actually in charge of this huge edifice that brings millions of people into the city of First. It's actually that attraction that brings people to Cape Coast. For you, in us trying to remember slavery victims and the transatlantic slave trade in a whole, what does it mean to the Museums and Monuments Board?
Well, when you talk of the issue of slavery and trade, it's actually, when it comes to the Cape Coast Castle, that's what we talk about. And it's a very significant place in the sense that this is where many of our people were taken through to these different parts of the world were ended up. And since we do not want what happened to us to be something that should be forgotten, it is important that we as an institution make it easy for everybody to get to know what happened in the past, in order to help us know what to do today, so that the future will be spared of all the pains and the difficulties we encountered yesterday.
So, will you let us know on a typical day, if somebody wants to get into the castle, what time should the person come in? What time do you close? What are you not supposed to do?
Well, we open for visitors 9 o'clock in the morning, and our last tour is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And when you come in, of course, you come in straight to the reception, you pay entrance fee. A foreigner will pay 80 cedis, a foreign adult will pay 80, a foreign student will pay 60, and a foreign child will pay 30. And when it comes to Ghanaians, adults will pay 20, a tertiary student will pay 10 cedis, secondary will pay 6 cedis, junior secondary 6 cedis, basic school 5 cents.
Okay.
That's about it. Yeah, that's about it.
So if you haven't been to the Cape Coast Castle, you better come and know your history. If you find yourself around Cape Coast and you haven't been to the castle, I'm talking to you.
Especially at this time, the month of March, which is the Ghana month.
Yes.
We are doing something special also. When you come, just before you get to the reception, we have a whole picture of the Cape Coast Castle there, with some inscription on top before we were captured. And we're trying to get you to do something that we were doing before we were captured.
That is Mr. Atuishen, who is the Central Regional Director for the Museums and Monuments Board. So, I mean, after talking to the boss here, these are some 2 other bosses, and they know it all when you get into the Cape Coast Castle. Mr. Morgan, as I affectionately call him, Mr. Morgan, what's your position?
Thank you very much, my dear sister. I am Principal Museums and Monument Education Officer.
Okay.
Likewise, my adjutant, Mr. Mark Tete.
Mr. Mark Tete, pleasure meeting you. Today we decide to visit you because we are remembering slave victims and the Transatlantic Slave Trade, and Cape Coast Castle is one of those significant edifices that we are proud to own, you know. And so we want to know, if I'm coming into the castle, what is that moment like? I'm seeing the male slave dungeon. Interesting.
Before the captives were shipped out of the shores of Africa, they were held in this dungeon permanently, awaiting shipment. And actually, they separated men from women. So this part was for men only, and they kept about 1,000 to about 1,500 at a given time. Awaiting shipment. So this is the entrance to where the men were kept. And it's really a slippery floor. No electricity, but as of now we have lights in there.
Okay.
So we are walking into the hill dungeon. This one is off.
You can just imagine life here without
lights. It was terrible. So that was the only light. So let's move straight in there. And during the time of this slave trafficking.
So there was no ventilation whatsoever. I'm seeing this hole. Is that the only source of air?
Exactly.
Interesting.
In this particular section, which is the only source of light and air. So just imagine.
Wow.
That's very, very dark. Some end up becoming blind, some became blind.
Right, there are 5 sections that made up the male slave dungeons, and this is the first one, often known as the strong room. Strong room because those held there were very aggressive all the time on the oppressors, because children really understand why they were subjected to such inhuman treatment. So anytime they had opportunity, they had to fight for their freedom, but unfortunately, most of them ended up in a place we call condemnation cell. Meaning if you were held there, they wouldn't give you food, water, light until you drop it, so they died prematurely.
So this one in particular, because of those who were fighting were always separated from the other dungeons and brought here. So they created a door here. This place was called a strong and like boss said. So because of that, they were now attending to them. They go to toilets. They urinate. Everything was done in about 3 solid groups. So the waste area accumulated, but they were not clearing the floor. The toilet pipe, the stairs, the original floor we see today was always covered with solid waste. So I want to show you the level at which the waste came out. Now, if you look on the wall, coming straight, if you look down on the wall, you can see some white lines. They are not showing clear, as I can see.
Yes.
The waste came up to the bottom of where my brother put his finger. It reached down the through, I can see the lines all over. But in 1974, University of Ghana Archaeological Department came to do excavation here before they found the original building materials. That was what they found before. These are archaeological books of 74. So they cleared all the waste and they left a portion for generations yet unborn to come and see. That's why we are friends over there. So let's get closer. So this one, you can see it's not the same like the bricks. Can you see the difference?
Yes, I can.
This is an accumulation of toilets, urine, and other waste products.
This room held about 150 to 200 human beings.
150 to 200 human beings.
Awaiting shipment to a non-awaiting shipment. If you multiply 150 by 5, then we're talking of 700 close to 1,000.
In this enclave.
So to add this is a church section, and right above it was a church. Exactly. Praising God up there, and our brothers also
Went down in
suffering.
So I just got you a little bit. Should I use the word frightened?
Yes.
Because this is anyway. Just show me what is here. What is here?
No problem. Don't be frightened at all. This is actually the last chamber for the captives. So out of the about 1,000 captives, by the time you're ready to go with them, do not end up dying. So the survived ones, to bring them from there, chain them. There was a hole at the back of this white floor before. They call that one a tunnel.
A tunnel.
So they march them through the tunnel to the door of liberty. But the tunnel was blocked by one governor called Captain McLean. He did that to signify the end of this trafficking. But probably if you go outside, we shall see that. This is an altar with a shrine. We have to know that before Europeans came to Africa with Christianity and Islamic religion, I was brought by Arabs. Africa is our religion. Our ancestors made a long time ago. We offer libation through smaller gods and through ancestors to the Almighty God. So before Europeans built the structure, the indigenous who were here called the fetus. They had a shrine. Actually, the castle was built on a huge rock. I don't know what you know about that. The foundation is a rock.
History, you really
So
know.
the indigents consider this place to be a sacred place. When they came to do rituals on the rock of annihilation. But when the Europeans came, they occupied this space. They built a dungeon. They stopped the owners of the area to come closer to offer libation on the rock. The locals came for a sample of that rock, which is this to the community. They were doing their libation. So the English left. They came to lay the altar. I think it's an altar. They put the piece of water on it, and now it has turned into an active shrine. At first, this was the initial exit into the ships. And the sea was entering the castle because of the
So you
tidal
blocked
waves.
it?
No, we didn't block it. It was blocked by the Europeans themselves.
Okay, they blocked it themselves.
So when they brought this place, this became the main entrance. So instead of them going this way, they go out this way. And this was blocked by McLean when everything stopped. The women, the slaves, that
Women?
and Europeans wanted to rape, but the women refused. Europeans did not come to Africa with a wife then because of malaria. So only men came, but the men who were here were not priests, so they couldn't stay with them. So they raped African women. But sometimes they wanted to do that, and when they were fighting, those who refused, they locked them in. They would stay for about a week. They were doing that to put fear in others, so that tomorrow when they approach you,
You were giving.
so that was their toilets. We gave it to them. We passed food and water through here. Once you do something. The women were fewer, 300 at the time, as against 1,000 men. The women shouldn't have been taken as slaves, but because they needed more people to work for them on the farms in the New World, they took women purposely to go and breed so that they get more out of them. And the treatment is same like the men. They go to the toilet and meet. They pass their menses in a mission for about 3 months. No sanitary pad. So just imagine that. And upon all this treatment given to them, Europeans still abuse the women sexually. So anytime they wanted to rape, they come from their rooms upstairs. They would pick a woman to go and rape. Those who refuse, but not how they said. Others end up being pregnant. So the pregnant ones were free when they were ready to go. They built houses for them to keep postal. They stayed and they gave them everything. They became free. When they gave birth, sometimes they free the mother with a child. They would take up the mother and the baby up to about 10 days. They went and take the light skin baby from the mother. They bring the mother here as a slave. And they gave birth to light-skinned children.
Mulatto babies.
Well, that's why we are along the coast of Ghana. We have light-skinned people. And some of the Ghanaians with European surnames. You know some of them: Johnson, Coulson, Peterson, Anderson, Van Dyke, Van der Poel, Da Costa, Atta, Taylor, Brown,
Just like me.
Armstrong, son.
Well, we are ending it all at the door of no return here at the Cape Coast Castle, just as the end of everything. When all is said and done, when you're out of this door, you're not coming back. So I don't know whether to wrap up by saying that is what the wickedness, that wickedness that our forefathers went through in the name of slave trade. Reporting live from the Cape Coast Castle, I'm Dorinda Egyirba.